Okay, guys, this is a different kind of video today. One I wasn't sure I was ever going to make. I guess in the back of my mind, I felt like someday there was going to be a reason to make this, and I think I'm there, basically. First, I got to preface this with a couple things, right? Number one, this is going to be edited, so you're going to see some cuts. I just want to be very careful about how I explain this. So this will be edited. That does not make it less genuine, I promise. I'm just being careful. Also, I'm going to be talking about some comments. This isn't like people hate me, I'm getting bad comments video, guys. First off, I want to say that I fully acknowledge that about 99% of the comments we get and the chat we get and the comments on Twitter and Instagram, they're amazing, guys. I mean, some of the stuff you say to us on a daily basis is just like, wow. It blows my mind, and I'm really grateful that those of you that say those kinds of things, which is the vast majority of you, really feel that way. Typically, it's not, YouTube comments aren't a big deal to me. I don't care about stuff that's like you have to suck, man. You suck at this game. You suck at doing this, and like, all right, whatever. Like, you're annoying. It's like, okay, fine. Like, some people are just so inflammatory, right? That it's like, okay, this is comical. The ones that get to me, the ones that actually do get through to me, there's like some that you get that people very carefully, methodically try to explain how you're a bad person, or like less of a person, or like aren't good at games, or aren't paying attention, or don't have the right intentions, stuff like that. And I get that stuff, man. Like stuff that like goes deep. It's like, no, I'm going to like get my finger like inside you and be like, I'm pointing at these things right here. Those are bad. Those make you bad. Those make you wrong. Some of that stuff you kind of take to heart a little bit, and I feel like then I got to defend myself. But then it's just like I realize like this person just has this perception of me. I'll never be able to change anyone's mind. Lately, I've been seeing more stuff about like me missing obvious things. I've done that all the time. If those of you that have watched me for a long time know how long we call it overthinking, right? It's like practically a meme on the channel, Maddie overthinking. I walk into a room, and like the first thing I'm doing in that room is I'm going to check this corner, check that corner, check that corner, check that corner, because there might be a box over here, there might be a door over here. But then I'll come back to the beginning and be like, there's a freaking button like right in front of me this whole time, and all I had to do was walk in this room and hit this button, and I didn't see it. I walked in, I saw everything else, and I didn't see that. Happens to me all the time, and I get called out on it sometimes. And recently I've been getting called out on it more in a way that I was surprised about. Like, I didn't realize. It got people like really annoyed and irritated. I was like, wow, like the fact that like I'm not seeing the obvious thing like was really almost anxiety inducing to some people. I even got a comment that like thought that meant that I didn't care as much about the game and I was just trying to make an entertaining video instead. Yeah, I don't care about these games. Been playing these games for way longer than I've been doing YouTube. Beyond that, there's some reasons for this, and I've never talked about them publicly or much at all outside of my very close friends, like a few very close friends I've known for a long time, and my immediate family, pretty much. That's really it. I'm not sure I know why I haven't said anything, because I don't really. The more I think about it, like I don't know why I would be like ashamed of it. Or embarrassed of it, but there's a part of me that still is, and I still can't quite figure out why. So anyway, I'll get to the freaking point here, because we're like 5.5 minutes in. I haven't even told you what the hell this is all about. I have ADHD. I'm sure a lot of you do, right? Watching right now. But it makes me miss stuff like that sometimes, guys. It's just like my brain fires off differently. It's been some aha moments. I had like a late diagnosis. It's caused me to reflect a lot on different parts of my life and kind of be like, oh my God, that makes way more sense. Like, oh, I understand that now. Like, I never understood why, like when I was little, I would have like blackout hyperfits. I have trouble reading a lot of the time. I'll read through a page, and I'll read everything very carefully, and then I realize when I get to the bottom of the page that like I've been thinking about something else entirely. I just scanned the words, and I haven't actually read any of it. I don't remember any of it immediately, and it's only been one page, so I got to go back to the beginning again, do it again. And I'll have some nights where we just get so frustrating, I would do it over and over again until I just be like, fine. And I shut the book and I go to bed, because it's like I can't. After a while, it gets a little frustrating, right? A lot of times, video games for me are like my books, right? I love video games. They've always been there for me, like over the years, through all this stuff. It was how I related to people when I was younger. Still how I relate to a lot of people now. Obviously, is how I relate to more people than I've ever related to before having anything to do with this. I get to do this on YouTube and on Twitch, and have a lot of people that care about that. And it's amazing. I guess I wanted you guys to know And I guess it was time for me to kind of, it's weird to kind of treat this like coming out, because coming out, real actual coming out is way bigger deal than this, you know? But for me, it's very personal. And by the way, that's ADHD from my point of view. There's a lot of other people that have it, and it's very different for a lot of other people. For a lot of people, it's far more debilitating. I'm always curious to see how it is for other people, though. So if you're open to talking about it, then those of you that can empathize and do know what it's like, if you put in your comments and your experience with it, I would really like to read that stuff. But that's also not all. While I'm on the subject here, any mental condition, whatever you want to call it, right? There's other ones that I wanted to share as well, because I think there's even more of you that can relate closely to these. I've also been diagnosed major depressive disorder, and that is something that I wouldn't have used to explain the way I was feeling for a very long time. I think it's come and gone in waves over decades. It was kind of affecting things that didn't make any logical sense, right? Like, I would wake up in the morning and getting right out of bed, like, oh, this is gonna be one of those days. Like, nothing happened. Nobody said anything to set me off. Like, I didn't get any bad news. Things might be fine. And just for some reason, I get up that day and it's just like I'm irritated at everything. I don't know, just everything is just like a struggle. It's like, oh, for some reason, like the simplest stuff, like if I walked down the stairs and forgot something and had to go back up to get it, that would be a moment I'd be like, oh my God, like, why do I have to go back and get this right now? And I was always talking to myself about how things were like, all these negative things I could think of, right? Knowing full well, like being completely conscious. Like some people would say, like, well, just don't think about that stuff. Think about some good stuff. It's like, no. I think about the good stuff too. I know all the good stuff's there. I do. It just doesn't dominate for some reason. The other ones dominate. And I have no idea why. My whole day is all about like, what can I do to just make sure nobody notices? And like, I can pretend it's not happening. And that's like my mission for the day, right? Between that and also, generalized anxiety disorder. And that also explained a ton. It's funny how that happens, right? I've had kind of bits and pieces of this my whole life. When I was little, I would like hyperventilate and shake, have panic attacks. And didn't really seem to be a rhyme or reason for them. Not an obvious one, at least. And then they went away for all my teenage years, my early 20s, and then came back in like my mid 20s. That kind of feeds all of it, I'm sure, right? But that's something where, like, I'll go back to reading some of those comments and it's like, most of them I'm okay with. I can let it brush off my back. And every now and then there's one I get and it's just like, and then I'm like up all night thinking about it. And then I wake up thinking about it. And then like, I'm standing in the shower thinking about it. And it's like, oh my God, I'll get fixated on stuff like that. And they will send me into somewhat of a tailspin. One of the main reasons I want to really talk about this, besides just kind of explain myself a bit and help you understand me a little bit better, especially those of you that watch us all the time. But I also want to talk that I'm getting treated for all of these things. There's drugs you can take for ADHD. There's drugs you can take, obviously, for depression and for anxiety. And I want to say that because I feel like it's important to say that out loud. Because I can tell you in the relatively short time that I have been getting treated for this, relative to as long as I've been feeling them, right? It's been... I could say it's life-changing. I haven't felt this even-keeled and like level-headed in a very long time. It's like kind of like exhaling, it's like, oh, I can just be now. I don't have to like have all these other things going on, right? And when I say that, that's mostly the depression and anxiety thing. ADHD is something else entirely. ADHD is something that I don't live in spite of, I live with, right? Because it's not completely a detriment. There's plenty of ways that it's a positive, that it's helped me do things, helped me to succeed. You can go into like I don't want to say the word zone. You can go in kind of like a particular mindset that sends you into this kind of path where everything just kind of starts sliding into these things and you can see a lot of things at once. I don't know how else to explain that. And then, there's all the rest of the time. But like I don't want to talk about it like I think it's a negative thing. It's just a different way of getting to the same place. I heard a quote, basically a scenario that somebody created, or a picture somebody painted to explain to people who don't have ADHD what ADHD is like. And I thought it was pretty good. There's a lot of different ways to do this because there's a lot of different ways to explain it, a lot of different parts of it. And I'm not going to explain any of them particularly well, but I will say this part. It's kind of like having like a rat, like in the middle of a big circle. with a bunch of different little pockets at the end of the circle. And one of those pockets has food in it. Cheese in it, I guess. I'll say cheese. Munster, because I love Munster cheese. The neurotypical, right, will take a moment when released, kind of like look around, try to study the surroundings, try to catch a clue, catch a scent, and then fixate on it and then go for it and get the right one, and gets the right one almost every time. But then the one with ADHD will just immediately start going and check every pocket until they find it at random. Just boom, 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 boom. Just do them all real quick. It's a little more roundabout, but you ultimately ended up at the same result. I'm inspired when I hear about people that inspire me, and they have some sort of mental condition I didn't know about, because it tells me that, like, wow, so in spite of that, they still were this amazingly talented and successful person. And that gives me even more respect for them, because it makes me think, like, wow, then anybody could do this sort of thing if they could. It's not like a barrier. It's just something you have to kind of work with as you go. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here. Please, 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 please. But I will say that, like, we've managed to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. All right. There's tons of channels with way more subs than we have, right? We're friends with a lot of them. To me, it's a very accomplishment I'm very proud of. I'm very happy to have had happen. But we got here in spite of having major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and ADHD. So none of those things kept me from doing this to a degree that I could be proud of it, and have some level of relative success with it, what I would feel to myself personally qualifies as a success. It doesn't matter, really. You can still do anything. It feels so freaking reading rainbow for me to say that, right? But, like, this isn't like you can do whatever you put your mind to, because I hate that. I hate that thing. I hate that message. I never felt like I got anything out of that. I never felt like it meant anything to me, like put my mind to it. Like, really? It just means more to me to think about, like, it's not gonna be the thing that keeps you from doing what you want to do. We'll put it that way. If you're really worried about what's going to happen to you later in life because you have this condition, and I'm not talking about, like, any of the things that I've listed for myself. I'm talking about anything. In most cases, in the vast majority of cases, guys, it's not going to be the reason that you did or didn't make it at whatever you were trying to do. So that's that. I wanted you guys to know. I don't expect those comments to stop, so don't worry about that. That's a part of it. That's a part of doing this. So there it is, folks. At the end of the day, everybody's dealing with something. I saw a good quote. I wish I could remember to credit these quotes to people. I saw a good quote that said that everybody you meet is fighting a war that you have no idea about. I'm paraphrasing. That's true. And think like that. If you can get yourself to think like that, it really changes your perspective of things sometimes. If you're walking outside, you see another person, you'd be like, wow, every single person that I saw, everybody has something in their life that is consuming it. There's nobody that just has blank, nothing's going on while they're waiting for their sandwich at Wawa. They're all thinking about something, and they're all consumed with something. Whoever you see that's just doing things a little differently or behaving in a way that you don't approve of, you just don't know what's going on there. You don't know. So at least consider that. Okay, that's a lot to get off my chest. I'm scared to death of posting this, to be honest, but I'm going to do it. So thanks, guys, for humoring me. That went on for a while. I'm going to go back to playing Ori now, because love that game. So we'll see you next time, folks. Bye.